Today's guest is Yembeh Moiba. Here's our job talk with the tax manager.
Welcome to the Job Talk podcast, where we talk with people who love their jobs. Our guests open up about their challenges, surprises, and secrets to success in their industries. Through conversation, we explore their careers, past work experiences, and the education that got them to where they are now. This is the shortened version from our in-depth conversation. Please visit thejobtalk.com to find the full episode.
What do you love about your job?
I love everything about my job. Obviously, there's some things that I may not love, but I love everything about it. And specifically, I think we'll probably get into this, but the notion that people have of accountants that we just sit in the back of the room and we just type and we do numbers, right? But to be honest, that's not how the accounting world. I mean, there's still, if you're that type of person and you still want to do that, there's a place for you, right? But in most firms and with most accountants now, you have to be able to take that hard numbers stuff, right? And you have to be able to convey that to a person who may not have that tax knowledge or accounting knowledge like you have, because they didn't go to school for it. So the best part of my job is being able to take the hard numbers and all the tax act and tell it to a client and say, okay, this is what all that means, and now this is what you have to do. And the relief that you see on their face, to me, that's still the best part of my job.
Has there been any surprises that stand out to you of being a tax manager?
So that tax manager role is brand new, so I've actually not, so I guess I'll talk about, any surprises in accounting in general. I think the very first thing that surprised me was how little you make based on how much hours you work earlier on, right? Yeah. So that definitely surprised me. I was like, hey, I want to be rich in 5 years. But it's certainly not how it is. You have to pay your dues, you have to, put in the hours, get your CPA and grind. So that certainly surprised me in my first few years, yeah.
What advice could you give to a university student that has graduated that is considering becoming an accountant?
Well, the biggest one is flexibility and job security. To me, I didn't even know this back then, right? But now that I'm in it, just think about it. No matter in what the situation is in a business, it doesn't matter if they're making money, losing money, their accounting has to get done, right? So that the job security in accounting is amazing, right? Once you get your designation, you're probably not going to have work. So that's one. And the second thing is flexibility, especially with the CPA designation. I'm somebody who, although I haven't done it yet, but I would like to travel someday and go live in a different country. And with the CPA designation, I could go to places like the US, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and it would be a fairly smooth a smooth thing for me to get a job in those places with my designation. So I think those two things are probably the biggest attraction into getting into the CPA program.
What are some misconceptions, and you may have covered it a little bit, but what are some misconceptions out there about accountants? And I probably had it when I was talking to you about becoming a guest on the show. I wasn't trying to be insulting to you in any way. What are some misconceptions that you would like to help people understand about being an accountant?
Sure, I think I will touch on two. I think the one I kind of briefly touched on it earlier is that accounting, the CPA program or an accountant now, you don't you don't have to be somebody who is for instance, that introvert who just sits there and does numbers. Right? There's room for people with outgoing personalities. So that's one. And then the second thing is you don't have to be genius at math. I think that's kind of the other one. Is that you have to be brilliant at calculus, this and that. Yes, you may have to take a calculus course to get into business school, but once you become an accountant, a CPA, I've never had to use calculus in accounting. Right, in tax, I've never had to, find the limit of something or that kind of thing, right? So that is a total myth. You don't have to be great at math. You may have to take math to get into the program, but tax, it's specifically tax because that's the area I work in. It's all laws, right? Because you get a tax act that's written by lawyers. You just have to be able to take that act and make it make sense to a client, right? So I think those two things are probably the biggest misconceptions about account, is that you have to be great at math, and the second one is that you cannot be somebody who's an extrovert who likes meeting people and doing those things.
Thank you for tuning in to the Job Talk podcast. For more information, please visit us at thejobtalk.com.